Alright, so Caleb have officially done it. They finally changed something that I've been asking for a very long time, so let's talk about it. So if you know what we are talking about, essentially IT is now available for the entire day. Before this, literally before today, when they just stealthily dropped it in the news, it was only here for around 16 hours a day, I believe. It would be here for like 7 hours and then be gone for a couple hours, be back for another 2, be gone for a few hours, and then come back for another 7 hours. Now, the reason why I'm personally excited for this is just like Extreme Cop, is that if I want to play a certain quest, if I want to spend my soul tickets, maybe I log in during a certain time, I just want to play what I want to play. And I never liked the idea, especially for IT, just to be time gated behind a certain time. There have been many times where I logged into the game, wanted to spend my soul tickets in something like IT, but then the quest just wasn't here. And then when IT is finally available, well, then I'm busy doing something else. It was kind of stupid. I didn't like the idea of it, especially as someone that is in the EU. I made a video talking about this a while back, saying that it's kind of unfair, as in the EU, the times where you can best play IT is not really at a good time. You were either working, sleeping, well, as if you were in America, it's not that big of a deal, because the second you get back from work or school, IT is available for the next 5 or so hours. So I thought it was kind of unfair, and I feel like the times really weren't just the best for us in the EU. And that's now basically even fixed. IT is here all day, every day, and I actually really like that. Especially because time-gated events never really made sense, and I'm glad they're getting away from that. Extreme Cop went from being here for a couple hours a day to basically now being here for the entire week. And I said in that video when we talked about it, that I really hope for IT to do the same, and here we are now. IT is available for the entire day, basically for the entire week. So with that said, let's actually talk about some of the best characters to use. That was originally going to be the idea of this video, but then I just saw that it's here for the entire day, so I quickly wanted to mention that at the start of the video. So this IT that just started today is going to be available until the 25th of December, so basically here until Christmas. At 3 p.m, it's going to change to a different IT, where there's going to be a different set of enemies. Now for this inheritance trials, at least for this month, the enemies are rankers, so you're more encouraged to bring a ranker killers here. They're going to be ideal. Unless you have like a really overpowered max transcendent character, you can bring them, but otherwise you want to stick to having killer. The enemies themselves will have holo killers, so try to avoid bringing holo killers, as they're going to do more damage to you. And the enemies are immune to paralysis, so again, try to avoid bringing characters that only inflict paralysis, because at that point you're basically bringing a character that doesn't inflict any stat elements. Best example is the Luna Rankiku, who does have an increased chance of inflicting stat elements, but in this case it's basically useless since they are immune to paralysis. And the hazards for this map are freeze, so if you're trying to have an easier time, being immune to freeze is definitely what you want to do here. And as always, maybe this is the first time you're playing IT, but keep in mind the enemies do have Iron Skin, and essentially what that means is that they take around 80% less damage unless you inflict all the stat element. And once you do, that basically means you're guaranteed to kill them. So characters that can easily inflict stat elements, so characters that have an easy time inflicting stat elements are more so ideal here. Now, firstly, before we do talk about some of the better characters to use, keep in mind that these characters on your screen now are characters that you're kind of just forced to bring, as they do offer you an additional 5 super links or potions upon using them. So if you are someone that wants to farm a lot of super links or potions, either having a full team of these super links or characters, or having free and doing the carrying yourself is going to be ideal here. Now, within these attributes, I'm not going to mention all the characters here, because quite frankly, you're only bringing them because they're super links or characters, not because they're good. But if you are a super links or character and you are good, then I will quickly talk about them in their given attribute. And the first attribute we're talking about is, of course, the technique attribute. In this case, one of the better characters to bring in, someone that I'm personally going to be carrying with, at least for this inheritance trials, is 1000 Year Blood War Aizen. The main reason for that is because he's a very powerful normal attack damaging character, who also just recently saw a buff thanks to the fact that the gauge mechanic is now easier to fulfill, therefore allowing him to get that pretty big damage buff. Aizen comes with a boost SA2 and also a barrier that allows him to be quite a safe character to use, and he himself can do a lot of damage, especially since he does have the Aaroniero killer. I don't normally recommend using net characters in something like IT, but in his case, he's one of the few exceptions, as he just does a ridiculous amount of damage and also just super fun to play around with. The Cacao Society version of Grimjow is also going to be a very powerful character for this particular IT, and bonus points because he also does increase the amount of super links or potions you do get. Him having a Aaroniero killer, being able to inflict weakening, not being a holo, is already making him an ideal character, and he himself can also do some respectable damage, especially because he does have Frenzy +2, and does more damage to enemies that are afflicted by a stat element. 1000 Year Blood War Uryu is kind of in the same ballpark here, as he is a character that also offers more super links or potions upon using him, so again, he's an ideal character, but the main thing about him, and another character we'll talk about in a few minutes, is the fact that he does pierce Iron Skin. As already mentioned, enemies take around 80% less damage unless they are inflicted with a stat element, but in Uryu's case, he goes straight through that, and that is actually quite powerful. Despite him not even having killer, he might actually clear faster than most characters here, since he doesn't have to deal with that damage reduction, since he just goes straight through it. And the fact that he gives you the extra potions too makes him an always ideal character for inheritance trials. Arena Tsukishima is also just another good character for the particular IT. I don't think many people will use him, but if you have him max transcended, he's not actually that bad. He has a good damage output, a pretty good kit, fast mobility, is constantly healing thanks to his drain, and also does have a rank healer, so that's why I feel like he's maybe just worth suggesting, especially if you are a Tsukishima fan. This is going to be one of the few times you can actually test him out and have a bit of fun with him. And same goes for the Christmas Orihime. She isn't a super linked character, but she does have killer, does provide the team with some decent support, so if you are trying to carry some characters, she's not too bad. But personally, for the technique attribute, my top 3 recommendations would be Aizen, Grimmjow, and also Uryu. And of course, Grimmjow and Uryu do offer the additional super links or potions, so they're the most ideal characters to use here. For the heart attribute, 1000 Year Blood with Ichigo is going to be your best character to use here. He doesn't increase the amount of drops you do get, but he has a very high damage output, super fast, an amazing character, literally the best heart character in the entire game, and he also does have Pierce Iron Skin. So he's basically clearing IT as if you're playing single player content. It's ridiculous how fast this character can clear IT, and if you are looking for someone to carry or to get carried by, 1000 Year Blood with Ichigo is your best character for this particular IT. And the fact that he has killer now is also even better. Cien is also another very solid character. In his case, he does have a rank killer. He can inflict his stat summons super easy, so he's a very ideal character for the particular IT. And he is also increasing the amount of super links or potions you do get, making him even more ideal. Now keep in mind, he doesn't increase the amount of normal links or potions you do get, but at the very least, if you're only going for super links or potions, you want to have a good time farming with a character that can have killer, then Cien isn't a bad character, and the more Ciens you can get, the better, because then you're constantly inflicting stat summons. Safo Yoruichi, another very good character here, great mobility, great damage output, and also most importantly does have killer with a super easy time inflicting stat summons. As she does have an increased chance of inflicting stat summons against any mind character, this makes her one of the better characters to use here, and I would say in terms of playability, she's only second to Ichigo, who's kind of cheating since he has Pierce Iron Skin. And then last option I would say is maybe 6-9 Vershi Aizen if you maybe have no other better options. He's not the most ideal character here because he doesn't have killer, and they also have killer against him, but it's 6-9 Vershi Aizen. He has great crowd control, still a good damage output, and is constantly inflicting weakening and drain, so you can kind of get over the fact that they do have killer against you. But of course, the two characters you want to make sure you have in your lobby is the Christmas version of Nini, as she is a super linkster character, and also Cien. And as already mentioned, Cien does have killer, so I'd say he's more of a better character to bring here. But keep in mind, he is giving you less normal links or potions. For power, there isn't really that many great characters. Currently, the best option would probably be 1000 Year Blood or Rukia. Despite her being a tad bit old, approaching almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think about, one of the best places for her to shine is actually in this particular IT. And the reason for that is because she does have a good strong attack kit, has an Aranka killer, and also does have the Bankai button, which increases the chance of her inflicting stat summons for the first 10 seconds in that transform state, and you can basically cycle that every 30 seconds. Personally, she's my go-to character for this particular IT because she's a really fun character even 2 years later, and also just a great lead, especially if you are someone that has invested into her. The same can be said for the 5th anniversary Ichigo, again on the older side, but still one of the better characters in the game, especially since he is a premium character. You might have already invested into him, since he does have killer, has still a good damage output, and a pretty good kit. If you've invested into this character, he's still a great lead to use here. And then lastly, I guess as a just final option, 1000 Year Blood with Yamamoto. Especially if you are someone that invested into this character, he's basically the best power character in the game, and even when he doesn't have killer, he's still a great lead and a carry in my opinion. And lastly, for the super linkster option, you always have Swimsuit Momo. She's not really that good of a character for this particular IT, and I personally wouldn't recommend carrying with her or just trying to main her, but of course she does give you the +5 super linkster potions, so using her is almost a requirement if you want to just farm a lot of super linkster potions. For the speed attribute, you have a few decent options, the first of course being 7th anniversary Uryu, an amazing SP character, one of the best speed characters in the entire game, has a super easy time inflicting stat summons, has now gotten better because of the gauge mechanic increase, has a great kit and fast mobility, definitely a character worth using in this particular IT if you're looking to have a fun time, and also a fast time carrying any super linkster character. As Ashira is another very solid character on the slower side compared to Uryu, but still a great leader, especially because he does have really good survivability, thanks to his dodge and also drain. Him having kill here definitely is important. And then lastly, we have the new renewed version of Aaroniero. He doesn't really have killer here, but he's still a good character to use given his damage output, and I know a lot of people are going to pull for him at the end of the month and probably want to test him on IT, and he's not a bad option here. As for your super linkster characters, you have access to Akon. He's going to be a great character for this particular IT, as he is offering you additional super linkster potions and also normal linkster potions. And while he doesn't have killer, he does have an increased chance of inflicting stat summons, so using Akon isn't really going to be bad here. And maybe at the same time, if you are carrying with Asashiro, then Akon is buffing him, allowing him to do more damage. And then lastly, you have the Christmas version of Noelle, who again doesn't have killer here, but the main reason why you would bring her is because she does give the additional super linkster potions and normal linkster potions. As for mind, we have access to 7th anniversary Ichigo. Unfortunately, he cannot inflict paralysis in this particular case, but lucky for him, he also can apply by weakening, and that's still a good stat element and definitely going to allow him to be used here. Has great mobility, some good survivability too, so not really a bad character. Personally, this is the character that I will be bringing. We also have access to Lisa, who again does not have killer, but thanks to her very high damage output and also increased chance of inflicting a stat element regardless of the killer, and also buffing all your other main characters in your game, this makes it a very good lead. We then of course also have the new version of Aaroniero, who in this case does have killer, can inflict stat elements with a very easy time doing so because he does have an increased chance of inflicting stat elements, and then most importantly, he is also increasing the amount of normal links or potions and super links or potions you can get. Ideally, this hidden version of Aaroniero is going to be the best character to use for this particular IT. After that, we have the Spirits Arthur with Shinji, good damage output, some good survivability, and has a good strong attack kit, so if you are a Shinji fan wanting to get some fun out of this particular IT, he's definitely a character you can use. And then lastly, to increase the amount of super links or potions you do get, if you can't get your hands on the hidden version of Aaroniero, you do have access to the swimsuit version of Neliel. In her case, she's mainly there just to increase the amount of super links or potions you do get. Since she doesn't have killer, she's not really going to be the most ideal character here, but again, she is increasing the amount of super links or potions you get, so that's always going to be a viable character to bring. But with that said, that's basically my recommendation for this month's Inheritance Trials. Definitely a large selection of characters that you can use here, and those are my personal recommendations. For me, these are the 5 characters that I'm going to be using to carry me for this particular IT. Definitely looking forward to use them, and the fact that again we can use them for the entire day because IT is no longer time limited, that is a great change, and I'm surprised Caleb just randomly announced it right here. I feel like that's something just worth hyping up, but apparently not. But I'm happy it's the either way. In the comments below, let me know what characters you're going to be using for this particular IT session, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.